is hosted in South Africa. Another difference between Hofa and myself is there's a 12-year age gap. We won't tell you who's who on the spectrum of age. But we did that because we wanted to make sure that there's intergenerational conversations that are happening. Because the truth is we cannot future-proof mining in Africa or even begin to speak about sustainability if we're not willing to create batons in our respective areas and hand them down to fellow youth. And so this is progression, even though it's not perfection from the team.
Thank you, Program Director, for your welcoming introduction. Good morning, Molweni, Dumelani, Asibui Njema, Bonjour, Bon dia. Minister of Mineral, Petroleum Resources, Mr. Wedem Antashe, who is leading a delegation, all the ministers present from South Africa and deputy ministers, ministers from partner countries, traditional leaders, the City of Cape Town Mayor, Mr. Hill Lewis, thank you, sir. Members of the advisory board, captains of the mining industry, leaders of political parties, leaders of organized labor, NGO, distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to welcome you to this 31st Mining Indaba. After last year's Mining Indaba, 2 members of the Executive Advisory Board's tenure came to an end. We welcome 2 new members who have since joined our Mining Advisory Board, Dr. Marit Kitao and Mr. Kwasi Ambofu. If you see them, say hi. We have about 39 ministers together with the head of delegation who will be joining this year's Mining Indaba. Ministers, leaders, we look forward to hearing your remarks during your participation. I would like to take a moment to express my gratitude to the Mining Indaba team. Their hard work and careful planning have been very key to making this conference a success. Well done, folks. You can clap in. A year ago, we celebrated 30 years since hosting our first African Mining Indaba. South Africa's energy crisis was at the top of mining industry and potential investors' minds. This was because load shedding increased operational costs for businesses, resulting in a significant impact on 3 ABs of the industry. These 3 ABs I'm referring to: A, operational capacity and output; B, the return on capital invested; and C, the country's ultimate contribution to our economies. Today we've converged to think about how far we have come in shaping the future of mining and how we can influence the future of African mining in a way that protects our communities and secures their well-being for many years ahead. Fuel is mainstay of all countries' economies as it is used in mining operation, transportation, manufacturing, power generation, you name it. The 6th point, invest in women and youth. We need to continue to grow our industry investment in women and youth-owned mining enterprise. Minister Mantashe, I love women because my mother was a woman. Lastly, sustainability and education. We also need to increase our community support and investment in educational programs, skills development, training, scientific technological research, mentorship, as well as environmentally sustainable mining practices. Ladies and gentlemen, above all, future-proofing African mining today is about building concepts. Attitude is about evolving and projecting an outlook. Therefore, the industry needs to destroy archaic ideas and notions, substituting them with innovative, collaborative ideas. At this very moment, we know that energy transition continues to disrupt the industry, not forgetting a rise in geopolitical tensions, global economic turbulences, disruptive technologies, and increased competition. We have no reason to be trepidatious, because history reminds us that we have been here before. There is wisdom in this truth, and there is wisdom in history. And so, we are called upon to review and adapt current business model, refine, shape the future of the next generation. Some of these future leaders are sitting right next to you. We need to remember that the choices we make today will have long-term consequences for both the mining sector and communities who rely on it. While we face enormous challenges, we also have thrilling opportunities. We need to ensure that we address poverty and unemployment. Economic growth means working together across all sectors. As I conclude, ladies and gentlemen, let's embrace new ideas, innovate together, and collaborate across borders, industries, and sectors by ensuring that the future of African mining is marked by sustainability, prosperity, and opportunities for everyone. You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today, unquote. Let's build the future now. I thank you. Asante, Bayadanki, Kalebo.
For me, but we are doing something a little different this year. As you can tell, I'm here, that's one thing. Another thing is we've invited a group of captains and influencers of the mining industry who will tell us what future-proofing mining in Africa means to them. This session will be moderated by the host being Kwasi Ampofo. We welcome him to the stage.
Imagine an Africa in 2065. An Africa that is a superpower. An Africa that is developing AI technology that the whole world needs. An Africa whose raw materials is providing all the technologies needed elsewhere, including in Europe and America. An Africa where the average GDP per capita is about $50,000. An Africa where the UCT has developed technologies that you and I don't even have to work. We just get paid. An Africa where Africa Aid supports every other continent and every other country in the world because we have it. Because it's possible. And to hold on to that, I want you all to stretch forth your hand and catch that dream and put it close to your heart. Let's do it together. Just catch that dream, Africa in 2065, and put it to your heart. And keep it there. I'll come back to it later. And to be able to build that dream, we need to first of all harness the resources we have. And to do that today, we are going to talk about how we can future-proof that dream you all had to your heart very dearly. We've got industry voices that are going to join me in a second to talk about how they're going to help us or how they're going to position Africa to future-proof that vision, that dream today. And with your applause, I want you to kindly help me welcome on stage first, Kosi Siatulu, the chairperson of the National House of Traditional and Cultural Leaders. Dr. Marit Vital, the interim director for the African Mining Development Center. Martina Bine, the MD and chairperson for Volkswagen Group South Africa. Matilda Mchogu, the executive director for the Tanzania Women in Mining and Mineral. Nolita Fakude, the chairperson for Anglo-American South Africa. And last but not least, Smila Sumair, the president and CEO for the African Finance Corporation. Of Africa's mining industry today. To kick us off, representing the voice of the community, we've got Kosi Siatulu. May you kindly rise.
The chairperson, Mr. Balini, the board, the host minister, Mr. Gwede Mandashe, all ministers who are here, the deputy ministers, our beloved executive mayor, the mining community that is here, and fellow traditional leaders that are here. Thank you to the board for providing a space for communities to come and engage with you. South Africa, along with much of the African continent, is predominantly a rural space. Hence you find traditional leaders actively advocating for the advancement and development objectives of the communities in each and every space. And in this case, we are referring to the mining sector. Mining has played an important role in improving the lives of rural communities across our country. In Northwest, together with the department, they've been able to build schools, support the SMMEs, construct roads, and just generally improving the infrastructure development of the area there. The same has been done in varying degrees to Limpopo, to Kurman in the Northern Cape, and everywhere else. We thank the mining companies who are there who have done this for the communities. We commend them for mining responsibly and uplifting the communities that are there. However, when we are traveling with the president throughout the country, he has convened what we call the presidential imbizo through the district development model. We were in Sikukuri district and also John Taolo Khaitsewe district. When the president was listening to the issues of communities, our people raised sharply a situation whereby certain mining houses are not adhering to the social labor plans and commitments that they have done to those communities. This has underscored the lack of accountability and commitment by those mining houses that are operating in our communities. As the leadership of traditional leaders in the country, we are here to urge the sector to put in more effort in encouraging those lagging behind to step up. South Africans are not great people. We are just simply asking you that you do your part for the betterment of our communities. Mining is a finite resource, so it is essential to prioritize the diversification of local economies to ensure long-term prosperity and avoid creation of ghost towns. The government, alongside our communities, has invested heavily in educating rural children, and now we expect to see those skills being put into meaningful use. Staying true to our values, we see mining communities operating on our land as an integral part of our community. We invite you to actively participate in our efforts to enhance our socio-economic conditions. With fertile agricultural land available, we view this as an opportunity for diversification.
I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the African Union Commissioner, who is my commissioner from Commission for Economic Development, Trade, Tourism, Industry, and Minerals, who is present here today.
Africa stands at crossroads. We hold over 30% of the world's mineral resources. Yet our people see too little of these benefits. With the rise of critical or green minerals, such as cobalt, lithium, rare earths, the world needs Africa more than ever. But we will not be spectators in this new rush. If we do not act now, we risk repeating history, exporting raw materials while importing poverty. The question is,
Will Africa shape the future or be shaped by it? Future-proofing mining means rewriting the rules. It means moving beyond extraction to value addition, processing our minerals on African soil, creating jobs, and fueling our own industries. It means securing Africa's rightful place in the global economy as an industrial powerhouse. The good news is that Africa has visions, such as the African Union Agenda 2063, the Africa we want, and the Africa Mining Vision, which recognize the transformative potential of minerals towards equitable and inclusive growth. We even have strategies, such as the African Union Commodity Strategy and the recently endorsed African Green Minerals Strategy. Future-proofing means building the ecosystems around value addition. For that, a massive investment in skills, technology, research, development, and innovation, infrastructure, and energy is imperative. And we must be very innovative in acquiring the requisite financing. Future-proofing means digitizing to enhance efficiency, accuracy, and sustainability in exploration, extraction, and processing. And it empowers our youth. Future-proofing also means people and planet. Our minerals must serve our people first. It means empowering local businesses, workers, and communities to benefit directly from mining revenues. It means ensuring gender equity in the sector and empowering our women in mining, supporting artisanal small-scale miners, and driving skills development for the youth and the next generation. Our minerals are the solution to the global decarbonizing agenda. Africa must lead in sustainable and ethical mining practices, ensuring that extraction protects the environment and aligns with global climate goals. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a call to action. To our investors and industry partners, Africa is open for business, but on African terms. We seek partners who share our vision for long-term sustainable development towards a genuine win-win partnership. This requires strong governance, regional collaboration, and a relentless focus on beneficiation and industrialization. It is time for bold leadership, decisive action, in an Africa that owns its future. The future is not something we wait for, it is something we shape. Africa's minerals must build African wealth. The time to act is now. And as the African proverb goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I thank you.
And this time, I'm going to enforce an executive decision.
Group in Africa, but I also represent the African automotive industry in my capacity as the president of the Association of Automotive Manufacturers called AAAM. The mining and automotive industries are integral to South Africa's success. And I'm honored to be at the Mining INDABA today, like as a guest, as you see, I'm not from the mining industry, to talk about future-proofing the mining industry in relation to the downstream buyer. Future-proofing Africa's mining industry means downstream buyers from various industries, like the automotive industry, electronic, and construction, can benefit from consistent, sustainable, and ethical supply of raw materials and metals, which are essential to these industries. A stable mining industry allows downstream buyers to innovate, reduce costs, and support their ESG credentials, which in turn supports our long-term business growth. In South Africa, the automotive industry contributes around 5% to the South African GDP. We all wish it grows higher year by year. And we happily rely on a range of raw materials that are sourced through mining. And as the automotive industry evolves with the rise of electric vehicles, the mining industry's roles become even more crucial in the future. The mining industry can benefit the automotive industry through a reliable supply of essential minerals and metals like steel, which is a primary material for car bodies and components made from iron ore, like aluminium, which is used in engines, wheels, and body panels to reduce vehicle weight and improve fuel efficiency, copper, which is key for electrical wiring, motors and batteries, and with the rise of electric vehicles, lithium, cobalt and nickel, which is essential for batteries. A well-regulated and efficient mining sector helps stabilize the price of key raw materials, providing more predictable costs for automotive manufacturers. Volatility in the prices of materials like lithium or steel can affect the production costs of vehicles, especially as automakers invest in electric vehicle platforms. A strong mining sector near automotive manufacturing regions allows for the localization, and we've just heard that, of critical supply chain, reducing transportation costs and minimizing the risks of delay. Automotive manufacturers can rely on local or regional mining operations to meet their needs for raw materials, enhancing efficiency and supply chain flexibility. The African Continental Free Trade Agreement, with automotive being one of the 4 key pillars, and the rules of origin, which means African content, hopefully soon be concluded also for automotive, of 40% African content in African cars, provides a huge opportunity. Localization of the processing industry should be our huge priority. Approximately 80% of global raw material refinery, and you know that better than I, is in the East. It is a great opportunity.
A year and a half ago, a young girl from the foothill of Mount Kilimanjaro, the tallest mountain in Africa, in the home of the rare Tanzania. What followed was a journey filled with joy, oh my goodness, when she first got her first gold. A journey filled with tears, when the work she spent 2 months mining and processing was confiscated as she was told, mining is no place for young girls. The journey filled with resilience, when she kept at it, hoping and praying that one day, her journey and story will ignite a single soul on this lovely continent. She learned the grit it takes to break barriers in the mining sector. It wasn't easy. She learned to turn losses into lessons, challenges into opportunities. On one end, she lost everything to fraud. On the other, almost losing her life in a fatal mining accident. Story for another day, perhaps. Together with young, brilliant African minds, she co-leads and co-founded a value addition company where women mine minerals from Tanzania, Kenya, Malawi, Nigeria, and Zambia are value-added, turned into exquisite pieces, state-of-the-art pieces that tell our African stories, transform lives, and wow the world. Don't take my word for it. Go and visit www.wowmejewel.com and see for yourself. She also co-founded and co-leader a platform for youth and women in mining and mineral industry, TWIM. As we breathe this morning, over 3,900 women and youth have been empowered through capacity building, industry training, and mentorship to rewrite their story in the mining sector. And that young girl, no longer little anymore, stands in front of you. You might ask yourself, or you might ask me, how many young people are there to drive the change that we need? Ladies and gentlemen, let me assure you this morning, I am the bare minimum. There is Kenneth Rashid in Malawi driving the youth in mining in Malawi, Arrested in Burkina Faso. There is Edwin from Ghana, Susan from Uganda, Akinyi Grace in Kenya, Arbi from Mauritania, just to mention a few. So when we talk about future-proofing African mining, the answer stares us right into the face. African youth. The next era in mining is no longer requiring just extraction alone. It's about sustainability, technology, and value addition at the source. From blockchain traceability of our minerals to value addition, African young innovators are making strides. You can go and see what TerraHaptics is doing in Nigeria and wow mejewel in Tanzania. In the world increasingly defined by climate change, scarce resources, shift to greener energy. The industry needs bold, yet adaptable leaders who can reimagine a greener and more inclusive future. But that's what Greenville is doing in South Africa and Eco Concrete in Uganda. We are not monolith. We come from rural communities and urban centers, bring fresh ideas and perspectives that can transform how mining integrates with community to bring long-term and sustainable development. Ladies and gentlemen, Africa's greatest untapped resources isn't buried underground. It breathes, walks, talks, and dreams among us. We will give longevity to your wisdom, speed to your vision, taking it where your feet may not take. We are not leaders of tomorrow, we are change makers of today. We are the future proof of Africa mining. And the future is not coming, ladies and gentlemen. The future is already here. Let's mine it together. Thank you.
1884, more than 100 years ago. A trifecta of game-changing opportunities rests in African soil and in African hands. The first is an abundance of metals, rare earths, and critical minerals, all in acute demand globally right now, to power the green transition, support a rapidly urbanizing global population, and needed in almost every aspect of modern life. The second is a blessing of bountiful sun and wind, enabling the continent to create and benefit from a host of green technologies and products that can power the growth and development of the continent's economies. And the third, the continent pulsates with the energy of its youth, with millions of eager young minds ready to participate in its development and success. And this requires inclusive growth that will culminate in economic development, sustainable job creation, and thriving communities. If ever there was doubt, then let it be said, Africa is at a crossroads and needs to move fast when it comes to making decisions on how to exploit and leverage the window of opportunity for the next 100 years. However, to future-proofing African mining and convert these opportunities into meaningful value, governments, miners, and civil society, including traditional leaders, must deliberately participate in constructive engagements, consultations, and ultimately collaborations for the greater benefit of all partners. All stakeholders must engage with a different mindset in order to create a new sustainable partnership compact that will move the continent forward. This requires disruptive ways of thinking, resetting, and reimagining the relationships between governments, business, and civil society. And we know that takes courage. The future lies in investments and those that will catalyze capacity in different sectors of the economy, as already said. To help shore up Africa's access to global markets and supply chains, Africa's infrastructure must keep fast forward to benefit from current and future supply demands. Building and maintaining efficient rail, port, and roads, and also future-proofing our power generation is important. Proactively forging stronger regional and global trade relationships and innovative financing solutions are crucial if the continent is to capitalize on these immediate and prospective opportunities. These exemplify and bring to life the intent behind the African Continental Free Trade Agreement and NEPAD, as well as the benefits of AGOA. So, with mining playing a catalytic role in local and regional economic development, governments should use their mineral resource dividend to develop integrated industrial strategies, bolstering growth for many other industries, as well as making sure that they think much deeper about how they diversify investment in the interest of growing their economies. That's the power of the multiplier effect of any country that comes from mining. So as the mining industry says in South Africa, hashtag mining matters. Let's make it matter. Thank you.
There are so many. If I try to mention them by name, I won't be able to finish them. Deputy Minister of Mineral and Petroleum Resources, Chairperson of the National House of Traditional Leaders and Khoisan Leaders, Ndadesi Akuru, and Provincial Chairpersons. I appreciate your presence here because it creates a new aspect to the Invest in Africa Mining INDABA. That is interaction between Western Economic and Management Framework and indigenous leadership and wisdom. And I want to ask the traditional leaders, you know, sometimes when you're under pressure, we feel of the house here, you're very few. We put pressure on you, it makes you comply with our Western traditions. But the value we derive from you is the indigenous leadership and wisdom. Let's feel it. Organizers of the 2025 Investing in Africa Mining INDABA, chairman of that board here is Frank Baleni. He's my old colleague. For his sins, he is in this responsibility. He is still paying back the debt he owes us. Captains of the industry and members of the investment community, very important people for this INDABA, leadership of organized labor, civil society and communities. I was in a commission yesterday. We had a representative of civil society. And I had my own suspicion about this man who is representing civil society. Only to discover that he's representing civil society here, but he's from Britain. And that is the issue we must pay attention to, that foreign-funded NGOs make our life difficult in the continent. All our distinguished guests present here and members of the media, it's a great sense of pleasure for me to once again welcome you to South Africa on the occasion of the 31st edition of Invest in Africa Mining INDABA. 31 is a very important number for us in South Africa because it is 31 years of the Invest in Africa Mining INDABA. It is 31 years of our freedom as South Africans. We are the second last one in the continent in terms of freedom, following a number of other countries. They were all free before us, was second last, only South Sudan comes after us. Convened under the theme, future-proofing African mining today. And I try to understand from Mr. Baleni, what is this future-proofing, Mr. Baleni? And he says it means young people must take over. Now, again, reflecting my age, I asked him, then what are you going to do about us? He had no answer for this. And what is important about this is coincides with the 70th anniversary of the Freedom Charter. the people of South Africa came together, drafted a document called the Freedom Charter. It is 70 years old. And it made a clear call for us that the people shall share in the country's wealth. That is the call. And then Africa, as a continent, must deal with that issue. That Africans must share in the country's wealth in every country in the continent. It's an issue that we must pay attention to because rich in mineral resources, poor as communities. It's not a particular country that is poor, the whole of the continent is poor, but it is endowed with mineral resources, all the countries. Now this gathering is precisely about having discussion about Africa's mineral wealth and have people sharing in it. And we must be honest in discussing this issue because if we are not, we are going to mislead one another and pretend to be something we are not. And to comprehend the magnitude of the mineral wealth that the people of South Africa ought to benefit from and share. In 2024, we undertook a study on the state of mining in South Africa. Let me explain why did we do this study. We did this study because many people were saying mining is in decline in South Africa. It used to be a great mining country. It is in decline. And we came back after the study and said to them, gold mining is in decline. Mining is on the rise. Very big contradiction. Because we're a major gold mining country, people equated mining to gold mining. When gold mining was in decline, everybody believed that mining is in decline. But more important than, we discovered that a number of minerals are growing. We're leading in a number of minerals that are required by today and the future. And that is quite important. We also conducted a study on critical minerals that are done. Critical minerals. We're discussing with Africa whether we call it critical minerals. They call them green minerals. And I asked them, why do you call them green? And he said, green is because, I say, you see, sometimes when you do things fashionable, you miss the opportunity of broadening the base of your influence as a continent. Because these minerals are more than just green. They do many other things. And I said, we looked into 7 countries who define critical minerals in their own way, and we developed our organic definition of critical minerals. And ironically, on the list of minerals that are critical, they are not appearing in many other countries, except that they are re-emerging in Europe as a particular type of coal. But in our assessment, coal is one of the critical minerals because it is the second biggest employer in mining, after PGMs, and followed by coal. And therefore, on that part of employment and export earnings, it is a critical mineral. That's why the term critical mineral go beyond just green minerals. Contribution in the economy and the country. That is what we're looking at. And therefore, not only is South Africa a mining industry diversifying from gold, a mining era, to a whole range of industry, but it also remains a bedrock of our economy, an attractive sector for new and greater investment. And the reason that we're giving you this feedback, we've done the study. We want investors to demand that study, so that when you want to come and invest in South Africa, you are not doing a trial and error. You know exactly where you want to invest, where is the wealth located, in which mineral, where is that mineral. And our ministry, we have a number of entities in that ministry, will be listening to you, will help you, it will guide you and advise you where to invest. Many investors come to us and say, we want to invest, and they say we want to invest because we want to create jobs, and they stop them. I say, in South Africa we have a program called Expanded Public Works Program. That program is for creating jobs. It doesn't create value. It does employ people to keep them going. And I said, no company is in EPWP. Every company wants to invest to make money. So don't tell me that you want to create jobs. You want to make money, and in the process of making money, you will employ people. Now, that is more honest and more open to us if you tell us that you want to make money. Don't tell us that you want to create jobs. Because you may create jobs and make no money and you get liquidated as a company. What happens? What happens? You got the jobs, you don't make money, you get liquidated, so what? So, let's be open and interact honestly with one another. And we're inviting you to come and invest in South Africa. Please do make your money. Because if you make money, you will employ our people, you will meet all the obligations that we set up for you, including the social and labor plan. If you don't make money, you won't meet the obligation to build schools and build clinics in communities and invest socially in communities. You can only do that when you make money. Now, I'm making this point so that investors must not think that we're just wanting them to come here and do social programs. Want them to come here, make your money, but please meet your social obligations. Invest socially in communities so that you can coexist with communities. That is quite important for us. In 2021, gold mining declined. Actually, that sector still employs about 90,000 people. It is in decline, but it's still a big sector in our country. And we produced 96 tons of gold in 2023. So that size reflects the decline. But there is an aspect that we are not counting, the illicit trade of illegal mining, which is very prevalent in our society. Thank you to the police who are helping us fight illegal mining. And the only complication is that when there is a hard fight with illegal mining, South Africans come to the fore and say, on humanitarian grounds, a human rights issue, please protect illegal miners, give them food, give them drink, and give them. And I always ask them,